Hello, hi, and welcome to Political Quickie, your political show that subjectively discusses current affairs in South Africa and all around the world. My name is Mapasik Amura. It's been a minute, and I just want to acknowledge that there is a lot going on in the world. Okay, you've got Peter Mutharika retaining his presidency in Malawi. You've got Theresa May announcing that she will step down as the Prime Minister of the UK on the 7th of June. You've got the former president of Botswana and the current president of Botswana going at it. It's a lot. You've got Huawei in the middle of the US versus China trade war. So yeah, the world is currently going through a lot of drama. However, this is the official sound off of the South African election. I know it's been a minute, but I wanted to be, coherent and concise. I wanted to have like everything from the elections up until, the cabinet and who is in the president's cabinet. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so the elections have come and gone. Oh my gosh, I still have my mark. I still have my ink on my finger. I have no idea why, but I still have it. I know that, there were allegations of double voting, so people were actually able to wash off their ink using bleach, domestos, and so they were able to move from that particular voting station that they registered to vote in and go to another one and vote again, because for the sake of convenience, the IEC wanted to make sure that people could vote anyway where they were. So it was supposed to be a convenient matter, but it turned out into being something that is not true. Okay, so there were two things that we were right about in terms of the election. The first thing was that the ANC would absolutely win. Duh. Obvious. Okay, and the second thing was that they would win with a majority of between 52 to 58%, and they did. The ANC took the elections with a majority of 57%. However, that is a decline from the 62%, so they went from 249 seats to 230 seats. Second is the Democratic Alliance, where we saw another decline from 22% to 20%. That's 89 seats to 84 seats. We saw the EFF grow, however, from 6% to 10%. Get this, that's from 25 seats to 44 seats. That is crazy, insane. Okay, the IFP, the Inkatha Freedom Party, came fourth in the party with a 3.5%, which is amazing. Okay, it's amazing considering the fact that they now have 14 seats in parliament. And of course, the big shocker, the one that shocked everyone, is the Freedom Front Plus with a 2.5%, and they now have 10 seats in parliament. So very shocking also because they take someone very special. Okay, someone very special to parliament with them, Dr. Wynand Boshoff, who is the grandson of the architect of apartheid, okay, one of the prime minister during the apartheid era, H.F. Verwoerd. So, look, I'm going to admit, initially I was shocked and I'm like, what is going on here? And then I was down for a few days. I was really sad. I'm like, how can this happen in a so-called democratic South Africa? And, he said, and a lot of people have said, look, don't judge him based on who his grandfather was. But this man's father is the president of Aranya, which is a community in South Africa where only Afrikaans people are allowed to live. Okay, so we can't say that we're only judging him based on what his grandfather did. It seems that his own ideologies are very suspect, are very racist, they're very right-wing, considering that the Freedom Front Plus is a right-wing racist political party. Okay, they claim to protect the rights of minorities, but in essence, the things that they stand for are disgusting. The election slogan Slanter has clearly enabled them to be springboarded into parliament, with, more seats than they initially had, which is absolutely shocking. But here we are. Okay, so I can attribute that to two things. Number one, the Democratic Alliance and its neoliberal policies. Okay, they've attempted to capture and to gain black votes, and in that instance they've unfortunately been able to lose some of the white voters. The second thing I would attribute it to is the rise of the left in South Africa, the rise of socialism, the rise of black consciousness mandated political parties. And so therefore, this is common sense. What happens on the left will always happen on the right. So this is a strike back to those socialistic policies. It's a strike back to those black consciousness mandated political parties. So as much as this is sad, it's not surprising that this would happen. So what I've seen in Parliament also, our MPs in the 6th Parliament is a generational mix. We've got young people and more mature people in Parliament. Okay, we've got the likes of Nompundilo Mkhatsha from the ANC. We've got the likes of Vuyani Pambo as well as Naledi Tera, on the side of the EFF. But we also have our oldest member of Parliament. Hey, okay, Ntate Mango Sutu will tell you he's 90 years old. Okay, he's been serving, this man. He really cares and he's passionate about this country and serving. We saw a lot of drama leading up to the elections, okay, with the Deputy President Didi Mabuza being implicated in the ANC's Integrity Commission's report. Therefore, he postponed his swearing into Parliament, and the president could not appoint him as deputy president without him being a member of Parliament. And then we saw the likes of Nomvula Mokonyane, Baleka Mbete, Malusi Gigaba actually withdrawing from the ANC's parliamentary list, saying, you know what, actually we just want to remain at Lutude House. We also saw the public protector issue a report on Pravin Gordhan and found him guilty of maladministration and misconduct for him approving the early retirement of Ivan Pile, as well as approving his retention at SARS. With all of that, President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa was still able to appoint his cabinet. Okay, not shocking. Didi Mabuza remained deputy president. He was eventually sworn in. After all the drama, he was eventually sworn in. Okay, we also saw the retention of Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams as the Minister of Communications and Telecommunications. We saw the retainment of Ndate Tito Mboweni as the Minister of Finance. Controversial but not shocking, we saw the retention of Pravin Gordhan as the Minister of Public Enterprises, and also the retention of Me Enji Motshekga as the Minister of Basic Education. You know what, I must say, this one I was disappointed with, because I thought that although Ndate Panyaza Lesufi refused the call to be part of the NEC, the president still has the prerogative to appoint 2 ministers who are not members of Parliament. So I thought secretly just a little bit that maybe he would ascend to that position of the Minister of Basic Education, but I guess not, okay. But in terms of continuity, I'm glad that he is still the NEC of Education in Gauteng. The shocking appointments. Okay, the shocking appointments. The first one, the most shocking and actually the most disgusting in my point of view, is the return of Ndate Bladen Zamande as the Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology. Okay, this is the same man during Fees Must Fall who said to us that hey, students must fall. Okay, this man also said that we were entitled and there's no such thing as free education, that someone would have to pay for it. This is the man who actually thought that, students were joking. He took us for a joke, okay, and he thought that, they will protest, it's fine, everything will then go back to normal. This man disrespected students. He disrespected a genuine movement, okay. So it's shocking that he would be back in this particular portfolio. Okay, and you know what? Actually, Ndate Bladen Zamande reminds me of Adam Habib, the Vice Chancellor of WITS, and I have no idea why this man is still the Vice Chancellor of WITS, because these two people are backward thinking and they've perpetuated systematic oppression. And what's mostly shocking, above and beyond, is that they themselves were activists when they were students. So for them to lack the empathy and understanding of students and their call to free education is just beyond me. It is shocking, okay? So I think that he will be dealt with, however. in the Higher Education, Science and Technology Portfolio Committee in Parliament, assuming that the young people, the Fees Must Fall activists who've ascended to Parliament themselves, that they will be part of that committee. I think they are going to show him flames. I think that they will bring him to account. I think that they will remind him of who he is and the role that he played, or the lack thereof. And we are going to see a very interesting play out in Parliament in that regard. The second shocking appointment would be David Mahlobo as one of the deputy ministers for or to Lindiwe Sisulu in human settlements. And, the president didn't actually want to call out his name. Legit, he didn't, because he skipped his name. And in the process, he skipped, the Minister of International Relations, Mena Lindi Pounder, in the process, and went straight to the deputies of International Relations. So I think he is ashamed of that appointment, and maybe he is disgusted as well. That's why he didn't call out his name. The third, shocking, not necessarily good or bad, it's just one of those, is the appointment of the president of Good, or rather the leader of Good, the political party, Auntie Patty, Patricia de Lille, as the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. So the irony of that is that she said that the DA actually pushed her out of that political party because she prioritized the redress of apartheid spatial planning when she was mayor of Cape Town and part of the DA. So that is an interesting pick. So she'll actually have the prerogative to show us what she wanted to do in Cape Town. So what she was unable to do in Cape Town, she'll be able to do right now on a national level. So we'll see if she's capable. She did have plus minus 7 years to govern in Cape Town, and so hey, we shall see. We shall see. How all of this plays out at the end of the day. The one appointment that I want to commend absolutely 100%, President Matamela for, is the appointment of Ronald Lamola as the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services. He's actually the youngest minister. He's 36 years old, former deputy president of the ANC Youth League. He's got 2 law master's degrees. And this is just an interesting pick, because this person is young, he's qualified, and he has integrity. We've seen, when he, called out corruption within the governing political party. So I'm very excited and interested to see what he will bring to the table. And once again, we'll be able to judge and to see what young people can bring to the table when given the opportunity to govern. Although, being a minister, what you actually do is implement policies and policies of the governing political party, which will be interesting when it comes to Auntie Patty, because she comes from Good. And now she will be implementing policies of not just government, but of the ANC. So we'll see how she's able to use her prerogative as minister. The 6th Democratic Parliament will be interesting. I'm excited. I cannot wait to see. Because we are in for it. We're in for the drama, for the everything. So ideally what's next is actually to go back to the resolutions that the ANC made at the 54th elective conference, because those are the policies that we will look forward to, the radical economic transformation that they spoke of. This will be interesting, particularly because we've got a capitalist president, and I don't see him making any actual material systematic changes. I think that in terms of the economy, he might be able to remedy the economy, he might be able to create jobs, but in terms of a radical economic transformation, don't hold your breath, okay? But we are going to go back. We're going to look at also the National Development Plan, because when he was asked, look, how are you going to solve the issues that we currently have in the country, and he said, we don't need a new plan. We already have a plan, and that's the NDP. So we're going to look at the NDP, and we're going to look at the resolutions slash policies from the ANC's 54th elective conference. I am excited. I am not going to lie. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what happens next. But anyways, let me love and leave you. Okay, use your talents to serve humanity, and I will see you guys. Goodbye.